Okay, so I want to share how I am using vercel's V0 to unlock creating a front end design and a landing page for a new app that I'm working on. I don't know how common this is, but I feel like I have uh, pretty okay taste when it comes to design in terms of I generally know what looks good and I have a sense of what I want to exist in my head. And I can see when things are like not right and when the fonts aren't working, when the colors aren't working and all that sort of stuff. But I never really built out the skills in web design to actually create stuff. So I was always sort of, when I was previously building applications and stuff like that, I'd be really constrained to the world of templates and themes and stuff like that for little side projects where it didn't make sense yet to engage an actual designer or MVPs or early stage ideas can be very well. Anyway, I was always kind of forced to just kind of spend a lot of time like sifting through templates and themes, and I'd hopefully find something that looked kind of like what I had in mind, and then I'd try to tweak it. But I never really had the ability to take something that was in my head and create it and turn it into a theme or landing page. But I'm really excited actually about specifically V0 seems to be, it's the only one I've really tested like this. So I'm curious if folks can suggest a similar kind of UI design tools that leverage AI. But the two things that have been most interesting. So first, I think V0 did a really great job of basically just taking text, and I'll kind of walk through the process here. It was really fast and easy to kind of get something out of my head that looked a lot like what I wanted it to. But then the other cool thing is basically being able to use AI like, Cursor's Composer and stuff like that to bridge the gap between what you get out of V0 and what else I wanted to do with it. So I used V0 in this case to create a landing page, but then I also just basically took the little TypeScript app that it created for me and put it into my Cursor project, which had my entire Ruby on Rails app. And then I just told Cursor to basically take that app and the styles within it and apply it throughout the entire SaaS app that I had built, overwriting a bunch of the Tailwind CSS themes, which is really cool. I think that would have been a big stumbling block for me in the past. Even had something like this existed, it would have been hard to then take those styles and figure out how to make it all work inside my Rails app. And basically the whole process start to finish of creating a landing page and retheming the entire app took me about an hour and a half, which is kind of insane. So V0 is here. I'm just going to go through and review it because you don't have to watch me type basically. But this is the prompt that I started with. Really, the crux here is just that I describe the app and what it does, and then I kind of know, I can't remember where I learned this, but I know that this general kind of flat blocky style is called neo-brutalism. So I just described it as neo-brutalist, primarily black and white with one neon accent color, draw inspiration from typewriters and typewritten letters. And then I told it to build on top of Tailwind CSS because that's what my Rails app is using as well. So I wanted the styles that it used to be compatible with that. And this is the first thing that it generated, which was like pretty darn good, to be honest. So you can go back and kind of view this. I mean, here's where we landed on eventually, right? So pretty similar, basically changed the colors and typographies a bit, and the landing page was different eventually. So it gave me this. I kind of thought that, like, what did I say? Okay, this is what it created. It gave me, a bunch of feedback on what it created. So you can see that it creates this code. So it gives you this preview and this code, and it's a TypeScript app. And I would say this is another area in which AI has really become this kind of unlocking tool to bridge between these things, because previously, like, I don't know TypeScript. I don't know what a Next.js app is. To kind of take this and do something with it, I think would have been a bit daunting for me in the past. But now, between the fact that I can use V0 to just make updates to the code, I could, ask Claude or Cursor or whatever to help me, figure out how to do this. I just had no problem just using this little TypeScript app that it created and deploying it straight to vercel. And that is actually what you get at this main landing page, getsparks.co. It's this very simple vercel page here, basically just this code, all these things here. And then you can see here, if you look at the bottom left here, the links go to app.getsparks, which is where you'll see the actual app is hosted separately. And that's actually like I would say like a best practice here. Give me 1 second. So this is like one of my most all-time most popular tweets from back in 2020. You can see like almost 2,000 likes on this thing, where I suggest that when you build a SaaS application, you should put the application on a subdomain like app.blah.com, and then have the main.com be some sort of CMS or content-focused site. And there's a bunch of reasons why I think that's still probably pretty good practice. Mainly, you just don't want to have to ship a new version of your app just to update like a blog post or a landing page or something like that. So this actually works pretty well to use something like V0 and deploy it as a standalone app on Vercel for your main domain, and then to point it to app. All right, that's a little bit of a detour, but so then we can just follow here. So I mean, it was really quick. I basically said, I think the accent color should be more like this red orange that's reminiscent of a flame. And so you can go through and see the V2. Oh, and I asked it to make a sort of hero image, and I just didn't like it. Obviously you can see it doesn't nail it every single time. It nailed the color, so I thought that was great. That's exactly what I kind of had in mind. Changed the accent color everywhere. Cool. Called this flame orange. Hero icon. I said, I don't like the hero image. And then I thought, okay, it's listing them out as if these are separate features, in a kind of standard SaaS thing where it would be like feature 1, feature 2, feature 3. But really, this is more of a flow. It's like you start a conversation, you create a circle, and then you receive timely nudges. So I gave it this, say, hey, instead of those, turn it into step 1, step 2, step 3. So it made V3 here. So that, again, this is getting like very to quite cool. And then I did something kind of dumb here. I accidentally forked it, which was unnecessary. So I'm not sure why I did that, but basically I then moved this into a new project, which is now here. That didn't really work. But that didn't matter really in the end. And then I said, okay, so please make an SVG flame logo like this, except so I pulled this. This is a screenshot literally from something that Cursor created inside my Rails app. I just like took a, standard screenshot of this little image, and said, hey, can you make an SVG flame logo of this? And let's see what it created. And it broke everything. So I don't know what it did. This is, so it's not perfect, right? But I just literally said like, whoa, everything broke, and hit enter. And it says, okay, yeah, let's fix this. Okay. So it goes back and it fixed it. So I don't know what's going on. And then it kind of had this error, and I just clicked here, it says fix with V0, and it kind of, I said, please don't change anything else. But I prefer to use the Courier new font. So yeah, this is where I was noticing I didn't really like this font here. I tried to change it. Then I noticed this error. I clicked here and it fixed it, right? So it's making progress, taking me, like literally 10 seconds. I noticed like, okay, it fixed that error automatically, but I found, okay, it's still not doing the right font here. And then it says, okay, I'll make sure to do that. And that's it. It's done. And then I basically just clicked through to deploy and opened up Vercel, and and then I just basically all I had to do was set a custom domain and point that to Vercel, and this whole web page is here, which was really cool. Again, I think this probably took me 30 to 45 minutes to get this going, which is, again, this design is not going to blow anyone's mind, but I really think this is super cool because this is pretty close to what I had in my mind, and the ability to like, take something out of your brain and inject the sort of like soul that you want into products that you're building instead of being reliant on someone else's template, is, I think it's really powerful, to be honest, for people creating apps. But then, okay, so now we have this, and we have, this code here. So what do we do with this? Because I also had this other app, which was all this like standard Tailwind UI. It looked totally different. The colors were different, all that sort of stuff. And so what I did was I came over into Cursor, which has our rules app here. And I just popped into the chat, and I don't think I'll be able to scroll back enough to find it. But I basically asked it right here in chat. I said, hey, I have this app. And I downloaded all the code here. So you can just download all of the code as a zip file. So I just downloaded, and it'll download these folders, directories, all the stuff. And I asked Cursor, I said, hey, I have this TypeScript app. I want you to be able to access the TypeScript app, like view all the code of it inside this project. I don't want it to break anything inside the Rails app. And then I'm going to want you to analyze the styles within that TypeScript app and apply those styles to our Rails app. And so the first question I asked was, I just double checked, where can I put this so that I can give you access to all the code without breaking any of the Rails app? Because like if I just start dropping code into these like Rails defined directories and stuff like that, things can break. And so naming conventions are very important. And it gave me good advice. It said, okay, yeah, you should create a reference folder. And so that's what I did. I just created this new directory reference, and I dropped all this code. So this Sparks landing app index, all that stuff is what is all the code that just downloaded straight out of V0. And then that's what I said. I said, okay, cool. Now, so you can go in, you could say something like using the reference app in @reference. And then right there, you can see @reference. You could do there. So that is referencing this folder. So that's a folder inside of reference. Inside that, using that app. So start to apply the neo-brutalist styles of that app to our broader Rails app. And I did that, and it started to create a bunch of standard styles for me. And then we just went through some of the views one by one. And I was literally like, taking some of these views, and I would just apply screenshots. So it would like apply to, like most of this view, but maybe this button would still be the purple button. That's kind of like a standard UI from Tailwind. So I would take a screenshot like this, and I would just basically say like the create new circle button, on this view, like please fix the create new circle button. Just doing it right here, and you can just drag it right in. You can say like, on this page, which is I know that page is the like circles index page, right? So on that page, you would do something like this, like on that page, please fix the primary button to match our new styles. I would just do something like that, and it would just recommend some styles and updates to the page. It would probably change something like the class names inside these buttons, and that process also took maybe 30-45 minutes. So within about an hour and a half, I had a brand new landing page, and then applied all of those styles to all these different views throughout my whole SaaS app. Pretty cool, not gonna lie.